Welcome to freedomlovin.com, where we focus on building freedom in an unfree world. Through personal development, location independence, and passive income strategies. Now here's your host, Kevin Koskela.
Welcome to Freedom Lovin'. This is Kevin, and this is episode number 54. And in just a minute, I'm going to be talking to my friend Kevin Pereira, who is also a listener of Freedom Lovin', and we're going to talk about how he built WetShaveClub.com, his business, and the inner workings of a subscription box company. So I'd mentioned a couple of episodes back that we were looking for somebody that had experience in this realm of a subscription product company, and sure enough, Kevin came forward, and so we've been talking, and his business is really exciting, even if you're not into shaving or wet shaving. It's actually a really, really cool interview, and just get ready to take some notes. And I just got a ton out of it, and it was really exciting to hear about his process and all the myths that he's dispelling about business. It's really cool. So that's coming up in just a second. No real announcements here. Just wanted to ask if anybody out there can give a iTunes review. That would be awesome. Just go to your iTunes and you open it up, and then you just go to Freedom Lovin' Podcast, and that should come up. And then I think you can just click on rating and review and go ahead and type that in, and I'll read it off on the next show. Just a couple things to cover really quickly, and then I'll get to the interview because it's a long one, but it's a good one. A couple days ago, Scotland had their election for independence, and it lost. Apparently, it was 55 to 45. But one thing to note is that was, if you look at the younger demographics, like under 40, they actually voted for independence. So it's actually a really good sign. Even the fact that it's on a ballot anywhere in the world, like something like this, it's pretty exciting. It's just exciting to think that book, Sovereign Individual, that was written in 1997, that book was forecasting these things to happen, and I think they thought it was probably coming a little bit sooner than now, but it is happening exactly, pretty similar to how the book was saying that nation state is in its last legs. It's not going to be here forever. So what we think is just the norm is going to change, and that's a good thing. So yeah, the Scotland thing, I think that was a really exciting thing. I didn't think it would pass anyway, just because there was so much propaganda from London and from the people that had vested interest to see that they do not gain their independence. And even if they did, if they won, it's not like here's a state that's free or something. It's still government. It's still going to have all sorts of problems, but that's just a precedent. It sets up something that is really exciting, and that's that we're going to be breaking off into smaller countries, smaller governments, and that will produce a lot of opportunities. So that's going to be happening all around the world, and I'm hoping that it happens in my lifetime. I hope that happens quite a bit. So, and particularly at home, that would be nice to see. So I think it will. And right now, there's a lot of people that are really vested in the systems that are out there. So it takes a little bit of wrangling, but I think as the younger populations get older and they have more influence, you will see lots of little countries popping up. And eventually, like the book Sovereign Individual talks about, you will have competing governments, and they will have to be actually providing services that people are happy to pay for, as opposed to forcing services on people. So that's coming, and that's exciting. And then Bitcoin had a little bit of a spike yesterday, and a lot of people think that it's because PayPal announced that it will be doing something with Bitcoin. And that could be it. Maybe that was the catalyst. I don't know. But I think that, to me, I look at all the stuff that I'm reading about the fundamentals of the price, and some of the technical analysis is saying that it actually wasn't the PayPal announcement. It was just at the point where it was ready. It was dropping below 400, and then it was ready to spike. So it went up $50, I think, yesterday, and then it's dropped back a few bucks today. But that's also exciting, because I think this is showing that this bear market in Bitcoin is nearing its end, and I think that by the end of October we will see the beginning of a bull market, and we'll start seeing a lot more advances like this. So, I could be wrong, but I think that this is a technology that's not going away. If it was going to go away, if it wasn't going to make it, that would have already happened, and the price would be zero or pretty close to it at this point, because it's been out since 2009. So and it's had a steady growth. So anyway, that's that. I want to get to this interview. It's a great one. Let me know if this podcast gives you any ideas, or if you have any questions, or if you want to chat about your freedom business ideas. I'd love to hear from you. So have a great week and go out there and build some freedom, and we'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the interview. All right. Well, I'm super excited to have Kevin Pereira on the show today. And he has a website called wetshaveclub.com, and we're going to talk a little bit about the inner workings of a subscription box company today. Kevin, welcome to Freedom Lovin'.
Thanks for having me. It's pretty cool to be on a podcast you've been a fan of.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, we met. So we met when I think I was headed to Vietnam back about a year and a half ago. And I think I announced on the podcast, like, hey, if anybody lives in the area, I'm looking for a ride to the airport. And Kevin popped up, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, I was staying in Redondo Beach, and he was in, where were you?
Orange County. Yeah, around there.
Yeah, so pretty close by. And so he ended up just last minute popping up and giving me a ride to the airport. So that was awesome. So
yeah.
And a lot has happened for you since then, it sounds like. So
yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah. So you posted something, or your business partner posted something on Reddit that was like a whole rundown of how you guys started Wet Shave Club and the whole process and a lot of the myths that you kind of dispelled. And I just thought it was really a great read and something that I wanted to talk about on the podcast. And it just goes right in line with freedom and how to build freedom into your life. So, yeah, first of all, I want to hear about your background. What kind of background did you come from, and how did you get excited about starting your own business to begin with?
I guess I've kind of always been an entrepreneur. I realized early on that the people that I saw that were always doing what they wanted to do were entrepreneurs. They had their own business. So I kind of wanted the freedom to, on a Monday morning, do whatever it is I want to do.
Right.
So, it was yesterday I went paddleboarding early in the morning, and most people my age are probably at their 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
So
how old are you? 20?
I'm 25.
Okay.
I've understood that it's just it's something I just kind of have to do, and there's really no choice. I just kind of have to go and start my own business. So I think a lot of the reasons why I do what I do and I work so hard is just because there's no other choice for me, which I think is kind of important, So all the things that I want, I need to have my own successful business to get those things. So that's why there's no limits. I'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah. Now, did you go to college for business or?
I did, and I dropped out my second year because I was seeing basically how they were like bringing people into class. We can do these jobs, and they were like managers at these warehouses and stuff that was just so boring.
Right.
I wanted to have my own business and create my own things and just kind of have that freedom. And I realized really early on that this was just wasting my time. And, I dropped out, and there's only like one or two people that supported me, but it worked out, for the best.
Yeah. So did you have something going at that time, like business-wise, or were you just kind of seeing that college wasn't going to get you to where you wanted to go?
I didn't really have something at the time, but right after that, I started a medical device equipment company, which put me way in over my head. I knew how to build the actual equipment, but I didn't really know how to sell it or anything like that. So, yeah, that didn't really work out too well. And then I kind of been being more and more successful as I progressed through my projects. You could say things failed, but in reality, they were just, stepping stones and learning lessons.
Yeah, so, it's like you could go to business school, or you could start a business and fail, or just, like you said, learn a lot and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah, and another thing too is I've been talking to a lot of people lately, and a lot of the ones that come from business school have these like preconceptions of how things should be, which I think we're going to talk about later.
Yeah,
and it just really kind of just stalls them so much. They think it's like they have to do like a book report on the business, and it's it's just doing it.
Yep.
That's really important. You don't have to fluff it and make it 5 pages when it just could be a page. Just do it right now.
Yeah. Exactly. That goes to that 80-20. I keep talking about this 80-20 idea, that book from Perry Marshall.
And I just started listening to it, actually.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Great book, and it's exactly that. It's like, most people are trying to overcomplicate things. So yeah, and like I said, we'll talk about that in a little bit. So then you went from that medical device company, and then you started another business after that?
Yeah, and then I was actually working for a friend of mine for a little bit in a medical. He was making like medical devices himself, and then I started this little. It was a clear intake cover for trucks, so you can basically see what your filter looks like without having to take off the cover because it was clear. And that was probably my first successful small little enterprise. I made like a little bit over $1,000 doing basically nothing. I just made a post on this form, a whole bunch of people ordered, and it was cool to just see all of these PayPal notifications of me getting money. And all I had to do was just send it out. And it took me, no time. And that's when it was really starting to click for me that, there's something here that I could do.
Yeah. So that got you kind of on the online and doing some online stuff then.
Yeah. And then I kind of didn't really know exactly what I was going to do. I actually became a real estate agent for a little while, and I hated it. I hated the direct sales. I just did not enjoy it at all. And after about a year, I sold my first house, and then I took that money and, well, actually, right when I was that process of when we were in escrow, I actually read a post from my business partner, how he replaced his full-time income with his maid business. Mm-hmm. And so I said, I'm going to take this money and I'm going to go and do this. And then I started instamaids.com, which was my big success that I sold about a year ago. And then after Instamaids, I went to Costa Rica for a little bit, and I was working on another project that didn't really work too well. And then we went and started Wet Shave Club.
Yeah, so just going back before we get into Wet Shave Club, as far as Instamaids go, how did you come up with that idea? Was from your friend or your business partner at the time?
Yeah, so my business partner made a post on Reddit. It was something to the effect of, and you could still, I think it's like the 15th top post on Our Entrepreneur.
Okay. On
that subreddit. And it was basically, in 4 months, I replaced my income of $4,000 and I just quit my job, something like that.
Yeah.
And his company is Maids in Black, which is basically all he's doing is he's allowing people to order house cleaning through his website, and he goes and subcontracts the jobs out to multiple teams. And I pretty much did the same thing on the West Coast. He was in Washington, D.C. I started in the Bay Area and L.A., and it was pretty easy when I first started to get a whole bunch of traction. I think I did something like $400,000 my first year.
Wow.
In gross sales.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking like as far as maid services go, there's a lot of those cars you see around, like Merry Maids. And
yeah, the corporate ones, yeah.
Yeah, so that wasn't, like, I would have thought at that time, I would have been like, no way, there's too many people doing that already. But you just went right in and no problems there.
Yeah, well, that's kind of is going to go into competition, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Competition is a good thing.
Right.
There's people making money. They're making money. All you have to do is just be a little bit better than them.
Yeah.
And I was able to see when I was looking at my competition, none of them were good at social media. I mean, it was horrible. There were websites you couldn't book online with their websites. So when I started, I was the only house cleaning company in the Bay Area where you could order on my website.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so, we basically, if you just make it as easy as possible for people to order, they're much more likely to order versus having to call and do all of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of things I won't even call if they don't have something online to do. I won't even bother with it. It's like it's too much time.
Yeah.
Cool. So then you started after you went to Costa Rica for a few months?
Yeah, it was 2 months. I was there. I loved it.
Yeah.
Such an awesome experience.
Yeah, you were the one that got me excited to go to Nicaragua too. You said it's pretty awesome there.
Oh yeah. I was there for the last 4 days.
Yeah. And
I actually liked it a lot better than Costa Rica. It was so much cheaper, and it was still really nice. I mean, you could live in Nicaragua for a lot longer than Costa Rica.
Yeah. And
it seemed a little bit more rustic than Costa Rica.
Yeah, not as developed. How about the food? Is the food good in Nicaragua?
Yeah, it was. I mean, fantastic. I stayed at this one place where I was having like filet mignon with it was just awesome. It was epic for less than $10 with drinks and everything. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. So why didn't you stay down there?
Well, my money was running out and I wanted to do something. I wanted to start on a project.
Sure.
And so I was talking to Rohan, who, had the maid business via Skype all the time. and he came across this guy selling Wet Shave Club. And I made up my mind in about 3 seconds. I said, I want in. He was selling it for $4,000, and I said, well, I have $2,000. And he said, done. And I came back home, and we started working on it. And, from there, it just kind of took off.
Yeah. So he sold the business for $4,000, or was it just the website? Or what exactly did you get for that?
So originally the website was just a soap subscription business. So for shaving. So there's a large community of wet shavers online, and he only had like 40 to 50 subscribers that were paying $12.50 a month for shaving soaps from, basically every month he would curate shaving soaps from different companies.
Yeah. Different
little mom and pop shops. And, we figured, well, if people are going to be paying for soaps, $12.50, there's probably something here. Mm-hmm. It's worth taking the risk. And we paid the $4,000. That included the website, which was about 6 months old. And then it only had like a Facebook page. But I found that the Instagram was available, the Twitter was available, so I grabbed those and everything else. So it was kind of everything, but there wasn't a lot of sales.
Mm-hmm. So you took over the business, and what was your first step? Like, what were you thinking at the beginning?
So we wanted to change what the product was. Just shaving soaps, we weren't going to be able to increase our sales price just by that. So initially we included things like aftershaves and razor blades, and we bumped the price up to $19.99, and there was zero resistance. And that's when we started, actively marketing it on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And people were just signing up like crazy. I was spending a good amount of money every day on Facebook, but I was making more than that through sales. Wow. And so we focused heavily on the design of the website, because the website was pretty bad. Mm-hmm. And people were still signing up. So that's when we knew we kind of had something here. Oh, yeah. So we focused heavily on the design and the checkout process, making it as easy as possible. And it just kind of, we put a lot of work into it. That's the main thing, I think, is why we were so successful, is we just worked all the time on it. If somebody emails me at 3 a.m, they're getting a response back in 30 seconds. It's just all the time, constantly. It's kind of like a sickness.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons why I think, we really became so successful.
Yeah. That's kind of what you have to do in that situation. But it sounded like it was pretty much a success from day one. It wasn't there wasn't a lot of time where you're losing money or anything like that, right?
No, not really. we proved it right away via Facebook ads that, we have something here when people were starting to sign up.
Yeah.
We were spending, at one point, every $12 we spend, we'd make like $20-something in sales. Mm-hmm. And then so we constantly were trying to improve every little thing, the box and the user experience when they're opening the box after they become a member, and just every little step in between we try to improve.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you went through this 5-step, or actually, what is it, six steps that you have here on Reddit.
Yeah.
And you talked about website rebranding, and then expanding the product line, raising prices, and then box rebranding. So that was what you just said, right? Where you're kind of enhancing what they're getting and making it better.
Yeah. So the first thing we did was we got boxes from Uline, and I was stamping them with this cheap little stamp. And so my business partner, he got a box redesign off of 99 Designs. Mm-hmm. And then he found this supplier, which was Salazar Packaging, and we were able to get bigger boxes that were actually printed for less money than the Uline boxes. Mm-hmm. So we were able to save money but increase, our branding and our exposure too. So that was the box rebranding was a pretty big thing, because it really just makes everything look a lot more legitimate than just having this cheap little box that we had where we send all of our items.
Yeah, that's cool. So then you said you increased prices and you added an option to do an annual membership?
Yeah, so we kept increasing prices and we saw no resistance. So we went from $19.99 and then we raised it to $24.99, and then now they're at $29 a month. And now we're including more stuff in the box, obviously, to make it a little bit more valuable. But one thing that we did that was huge, where if you look at our subscription page, you'll see, well, previously what you would have saw was we would include the total price. So it would be like 1 month, $29, 3 months, $72, 6 months, $132, etc. And so you wouldn't necessarily see the value that you're getting in purchasing more months because it didn't look like it was cheaper. So what we did is we just basically said 1 month is $29 per month, 3 months is $24, all the way to a year, which is $19 per month, but that's paid all up front.
Yeah.
So that little change and just changing how the pricing appears made our average sale go from about $24 previously to now it's over $75 per customer on average.
Nice.
And that small thing, could have really made or break us because we just increased our revenue substantially immediately, right? So now we have a lot more money coming in versus waiting a longer period of time.
So the people that sign up for the lowest level, they're paying monthly, right? That's not like a one-time fee.
Yeah, so every month or every 30 days, their credit card gets charged unless they cancel.
Right, okay.
And then the day after, their box gets shipped out.
Okay, cool. And then the higher price ones, you're saying that like the 6 months, they just pay it all at once, and then every 6 months they get billed.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, cool. All right, and then just a couple more things on this. So step 5, marketing, you were able to increase the prices, and then what did you do marketing-wise?
So because we increased our average sale, we were able to increase our marketing efforts. So now we're not doing Facebook as much, but we did do a lot of Facebook initially. We do a lot of remarketing using Perfect Audience. Initially, we were using AdRoll. We found it wasn't really as good as Perfect Audience. Mm-hmm. So now we're using Perfect Audience. We added a pop-up on a 15-second timer, and that was actually fantastic. And we currently have Exit Monitor. Are you familiar with that?
No, I don't think so.
So Exit Monitor is basically it's a pop-up that only appears when your little mouse clicker goes above the fold, above the site.
Right.
So it looks like you're going to close the tab, then a pop-up appears.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The problem with Exit Monitor, it doesn't appear to be working on mobile devices.
Right.
And over 50% of our people are mobile devices. So we're probably going to go back to a 15-second timer. But that was huge because that basically gives us a whole bunch of emails. Mm-hmm. And another thing that was awesome was our contests. So we ran contests basically through, I think it's called Gleam. And if anybody tweets you, they get like a certain number of points for your contest, like a number of entries to win a free box.
Cool.
And when they do that, obviously they have to enter in their email to, be notified if they won.
Right.
You basically, at the end of the contest, you get a list, all these emails, you get their Twitter handles, their Instagram handles, their Facebook. It's incredible. And we had, in 30 days, we had like 2,000 emails and everybody's everything. I mean,
wow.
it was pretty epic. We still haven't really done anything with that, but yeah, it was a great way to get a whole bunch of exposure and contacts.
Wow. Yeah, that's genius. So you haven't done anything with it? You haven't marketed to these people yet?
No. We've sent them an email, but it's on our list of things to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was great. And one thing that really helped too, I think we spent like $200 or $300 marketing on Facebook, the actual contest itself. Mm-hmm. So that made it really popular. I mean, a lot of people shared that. So
yeah, people love contests for sure.
Yeah.
So the last thing, step 6, ordering, warehouse, and shipping. So what did you do there? Yeah, so we kind of, when I got to Tampa, we were planning on just working out of the house for months. But then for some weird reason, we were like looking at warehouses one day randomly. And 3 days later, or it was like a week later, we were in our own warehouse. Mm-hmm. We had our own 3,200 square foot warehouse, pretty much overnight. It was kind of weird. And this place had a great office space and a warehouse. And I think it was really important that we made that move because it made everything seem much more real and legitimate. And you just want to work much harder, especially when you have rent to pay. Mm-hmm. You're going to work a lot harder. But it just made everything seem more real, if that makes sense. Yeah, and then so you had to hire people at that point?
Well, so Rohan brought in his maid business. So he has a few employees that were at another office. So he just brought them in. And then probably 2 or 3 weeks after we got the warehouse, we hired our first person from Reddit. I threw up a post on Reddit, Tampa Jobs, and she found us through there, which is great. It was free. It's not like Craigslist or anything. And yeah, she's been epic. I mean, she's been able to do everything. So it's
cool.
Yeah.
And then, so then you talked about your office, and that was a kind of a big thing as well. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, the office is really great because we're all in the same place instead of being like on Skype. So when we like want to talk about ideas, it's instantaneous, which is so important. Things just evolve much more quicker when you're together instead of, like before when Rohan and I were, 2,800 miles away and we were just chatting on Skype. So, now that we have this office and it's really nice, it kind of just improves the morale. And I just find it to be pretty important for what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. So, but you guys are apart. So you're on the West Coast and your partner's back east.
Yeah, just for now. And I mean, I'm going to be back in 2 weeks, but it really seems like things have kind of slowed down in our productivity.
Yeah.
Just because we're not together, it's not as easy to say, hey, what if we try this? Or, why don't we do this? Or can we change the design on that? It's so much more difficult trying to do it over a computer.
Yeah, I could see that. I could totally see that. So you guys shared just like a little office there in Tampa?
Right now?
Yeah, when you were there, was that you just have?
No, I was actually living at his house.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he offered for me to stay there, and we were working out of there, and then we just went ahead and got this office right near the airport, which is great.
Yeah,
because it's like a $10 Uber ride to the airport.
That's awesome. Yeah, so you really were cutting. You really didn't have many costs if you were staying at his place, and you guys are basically working 24/7 on the business.
Yeah. I mean, I had my only costs were gas and food.
Yeah.
And the business was able to pay for gas and food. So another thing that really helped us was cabbage. Mm-hmm. So are you familiar with cabbage at all?
Other than the vegetable, no.
Okay, yeah, it's cabbage with a K.
Okay.
And it's basically a way for small businesses to get loans.
Okay.
And we were looking for a way to get a dollar value for a loan that we kind of figured would be enough to really get us to where we want to go. And I went to the bank, and the bank was like, well, it's going to take 30 days, and we don't know if it's going to, all this headache, right?
Yeah.
And so I looked online, and I found Cabbage, and you basically just sign into your Stripe via their website. You sign into your bank account, and you can also enter in like your Facebook and your Google Analytics, and it runs it through this algorithm, and then it spits out this loan amount and this interest rate, and you could instantaneously just take that money and put it in your bank account. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's incredible. There's no loan time. There's no nothing. And so that really helped us quite a bit, too, with purchasing things for the warehouse and getting everything going.
So how do you budget that money? Like, is it just the bare essentials that you use it for? Or?
Yeah, I mean, we don't, Rohan's, he's an accountant. He's an ex-accountant. Mm-hmm. So he's really good with budgeting, and, we always are trying to keep our money really, really tight and not spending anything where it doesn't need to be spent. There's nothing in inventory that shouldn't be in inventory.
Right.
So our warehouse is usually pretty empty, and we only order things right when we need them. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's really, really important, especially as we're continuing to grow. We're really just trying to have as much cash available to make decisions instead of having everything hold up in inventory. So we know, for example, how long it takes, lead times for everything. Mm-hmm. So we know when to order them, and we have all these spreadsheets. One thing that was great, too, is Rohan actually created this projection spreadsheet, which was at a 5% growth rate, I believe it was per week. And so we were able to look at the next, 2 years and see where we're going to be at every month, every week, and how many members we would have, what our income would be, what our box costs are going to be, mm-hmm. how much money we would need for marketing, all of these things, which was, it was super cool and really, really important. And it made us see, wow, in X date we can have 5,000 members. So, yep. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you had some takeaways, which I thought were really helpful in terms of, kind of what you learned and what other people can learn from this. Like you said that you didn't go into this knowing anything about wet shaving, right?
No. After I bought the business, I head to the store, I got a safety razor, and I tried it for the first time after I purchased the business.
Right.
I didn't even really know what a safety razor was, right?
Yeah.
But I actually loved it. I found it. I haven't changed. I haven't gone back since.
Oh, really?
Okay. I shave now. Yeah, I really like it. It's a close shave, and it's kind of fun thing to do with the soap, and you got the brush, and it's cool. But yeah, we didn't know anything. All we really kind of knew was pretty much everybody shaves, at least men, right?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
They need a product. We can give them a product. That's it.
Right. And then you had we'll talk about this but a little bit more, but you had the, a company that was already doing something in that market, the Dollar Shave Club, right? Which everyone's heard of.
Right. So, we kind of figured, well, they're doing different types of razors, but they were kind of marketing towards value, right? That's actually in their name, Dollar Shave Club.
Right.
So we said, there's probably got to be somebody that's willing to pay a little bit more for an experience rather than just, straight value. And it worked out.
Yeah.
So yeah, we knew that their business model was obviously successful. All we kind of had to do was kind of do what they did.
Right.
So it worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome. So okay, so this is where I really want to get into is kind of the inner workings of this stuff and what you found that the kind of the myths out there, what worked for you, and what a lot of people believe that just isn't necessary, isn't true, and how you can move forward on something like this. So you started with the list on Reddit. You started with, well, let's go back. Actually, there's a few things that when you guys started the business that you kind of realized, like you had the point was the only things I work on are things where I can make money starting on day one, right?
Yeah. So a lot of people come to me and they talk to me about their business idea, and it's like, you wouldn't know if it's going to be successful or not 6 months in and after you spent all of this money.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why don't you just try to start something where you're going to know right away without dumping a whole bunch of money in if it's going to be successful or not? I mean, it's one thing if you got millions of dollars to spend, but if you're just trying to start in your first business, keep it simple. Mm-hmm. Keep it super, super simple. I mean, you could start your business today and make money tomorrow for just a couple $100, which I was thinking about this last night, and I mean, we could talk about it a little bit later. With this business, basically it's a moving business. Mm-hmm. And another thing that we talk about is, only try to do something where you've spent money on in the last, 12 months. So since I was in Tampa, we used a moving company about 6 different times. Mm-hmm. And the process was we went on Craigslist and we were looking for movers, right? Because we don't have a truck and we don't have time to move stuff ourselves. Well, every time we called them, every single person was full. They were fully booked. Yeah. I mean, it was incredible. So, the startup cost to have a service business like that is hardly anything. You you get a nice banner design, you put it on Craigslist for free, mm-hmm. and you're instantly having people call you, and all you have to do is just find movers, mm-hmm. and you're just organizing it all, and that's it. There's such a low startup cost with that. Yeah. It's not a sexy business. You're not creating this cool app, but You're making money, and that's cool, and that's sexy, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I just wrote a blog post on money momentum and how it's really tough when you don't have that. If you can get that money flowing in right away, even if it's like you start something and the first month you make $100, that's a lot better than going, oh well, we'll be profitable 6 months from now or a year from now, because that can really just demotivate you, right?
Yeah. Well, another thing too is it increases your resources. Yeah. So, you'll have more money, and hopefully you'll get to a point where you can hire people to do what you were doing, which is what I did with Instamates. I was only doing customer service for like 2 months, and then I was able to I actually outsourced it to a team in India. Mm-hmm. They had zero accent. I mean, they were fantastic.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. It's like $1,500 a month, full time. Mm-hmm. There was a team working for me, and they were great. And yeah, I was kind of just managing everything else and making sure, we were spending our resources the best way I knew how. Right. But yeah, I mean, if you're able to outsource that, your customer service, then you'll have more time to do other things.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Yeah, that momentum is huge. Yeah. And it takes time. It's like that flywheel that, I forgot who talks about the flywheel thing, mm-hmm. where, it's really hard to get it going. But once it's going, it's so easy to just, do whatever it is you want.
Right.
So that's what, like with Rohan, his business is doing really, really well. He has 4 businesses right now. And so if he wants to start a project, it's so easy. Yeah. He knows like these designers, and he gets the designs done, and then he has his coders, he gets them done, and he has the money to do it. And so it's so incredibly easy, rather than, you're working at a job, you're saving money, and, trying to pay for all these things to get done. Yeah. So it takes time. It takes time.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. So let's go to the some of the myths, additional thoughts that you had on this post, and some of the myths out there. And I'd like to go through all these. Hopefully we have time, but
Sure.
I think they're all important because it's stuff that I've come across as well. And, I think it stops people from getting into business to begin with. But so the first one is validation.
Yeah. So validation, people use my product and I'm going to sell it to them. That's it. I mean, people, they like to complicate things so much. And it's like, some people will say, well, I need to study this market and this demographics and do all. It's like, this is not a homework assignment.
Yeah.
Just do it. Figure it out. Through starting and doing the business, that's going to validate it or not.
Right.
That's going to be your only validation, because otherwise you're just going off of things that are not actual data. You don't know how well you're going to do personally in this business.
Right.
So forget the validating. Just do it. That's the validation. If you make money, then it's validated. If you don't, it's not.
Yeah, and you said that Rohan said that competition is validation.
Yeah, exactly. Competition is validation. If there's somebody doing it, they're making money.
Yeah.
And if they're making money on it, you can make money on it. It's that simple. There's no reason to say, well, I found that there's this competitor who's doing this product I wanted to do, so now I guess I can't really do it.
Right.
So many people think that's completely wrong.
Yeah.
They're doing it. They're making money on it. You could do it too. They've proven it.
Definitely.
Which is exactly why you should do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I regret, I had the same thing going on. Like I started my web business in 2003 and I was making money online and nobody I knew was doing that. And although I followed people online that were making really good money selling stuff on the internet, I felt like it's already done. Like I can't teach anything like this. And then I look back and 5 years later, Pat Flynn starts his site, and there's already 1 million people teaching how to make money online, and he breaks into it, and now he's one of the top people doing that. So it's like you're totally right. Competition is good.
Yeah, and they're basically giving you the blueprint.
Yeah,
it's like, look, this is what I'm doing, and this is working. So all you have to do is duplicate it and just do it a little bit better. That's it.
Or even a little bit different. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be better, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so depending on what your product is. But what about the idea of oversaturation? I mean, is there a point where you look at a market and just go, this is crazy, there's too many people doing this? Or
Yes, for sure. Like when I sold my maid business, I was starting to see that the cost per customer acquisition were going up because so many other people were doing it.
Yeah.
So I would probably look at it and say, well, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do lawn care. Or I'm going to do pool service. I'm going to do something a little bit different. But yeah, there is a point where it does become too saturated. But if you still do it correctly, there's not a lot of things where you won't be successful in.
Right. Okay, and then business plans. So this goes back to what we were talking about with school, getting an MBA and that kind of thing. Right?
So people are like, how I imagine it is like people are in class and their professor's like, hey, you have to create a 20-page business plan on your business, right? And so now they're like, all right, I have to create a 72-page, business plan. No, you don't. Your business plan should be, if you're going to create one, we never even had one for Wet Shave Club.
Yeah.
If you're going to create a business plan, make it one page.
Yeah.
If you can't fit it in one page, it's far too complex and complicated. You should be able to understand what it is you're doing, what you're selling, how you're going to sell it, and how you're going to grow the company. I mean, it's really, really simple. It doesn't have to be this super complex thing where you figured out your demographics and all of this crazy stuff. It's another thing that people use to keep them from being successful, right? People will give themselves so many reasons not to do something, and they'll keep trying. It's like, oh, the business plan, or it's I don't know how to incorporate, or I don't know how to do this or do that, and it's like they'll eventually find something to stop them.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of like the Tim Ferriss work for work's sake, right?
Right.
You're just kind of creating work because you want to be busy, but it's almost a tactic to procrastinate actually doing it.
Yeah, and nothing ever gets done. They never do anything.
Yeah.
You have to get completely away from that mindset.
Right.
With Rohan and I, we're kind of just like, look, it's going to get done. It's getting done right now.
Right.
There's nothing in our way. If there's something in our way, we're just going to figure it out and we'll get it over with.
Yeah, and you mentioned the LLC incorporation.
Yeah, so our basic mindset is if the business can't pay for it, there's no reason for you to have it.
Right.
If so many people are like, well, I don't know if I'm going to do an LLC, a sole proprietorship, or this or that. And it's like, you don't even have any sales yet.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Go get some sales And then once your business can pay for the LLC, go get that done.
Right.
You got to take a little bit of risk in business. If you're not up for taking risk, it's probably not for you.
Yeah, I remember like when I first started my first business, I went down to City Hall and got my little business license. I had no idea. Like looking back on all that, it's like that was a waste of 3 hours out of my day. Like I could have just been working in that time and making something happen. But I thought that you had to do all these formal things, and I think those are just kind of just barriers or things that'll get in your way. And eventually you want to have everything right so you don't run into problems later. But you're right. I think you're totally right. Just get that money flowing in first, and then worry about the other stuff later.
Yeah, you have to focus on sales. Yeah. Sales has to be your number one thing. If you have sales, everything else will get figured out. If you don't know how to do it, you could pay somebody to do it. If you have sales, right. But if you don't have sales, everything else is completely pointless. Completely.
Yeah. I love the next one. You said business analysis, another myth.
Yeah. So this comes from a lot from like engineers, and it's engineers and consultants. They always have like this thing where they have to like be so in depth with what it is that they're doing with their business, right? And it's like they have to have like 101 things about just everything. They have to know absolutely everything. You don't have to know anything. Yeah. Just go and start it today.
Yeah, and
you don't have to understand like who your demographic is. You're going to find out who your demographic is the first week when you look at Google Analytics, right? Yep. You're going to find out who it is that you want to sell to, and then you'll just pour more money into that. So it's just another thing that people use to block themselves and stall for time. Yeah,
and the other one I'll add to this. Another one that I hear sometimes is, in this economy, ...
that's meaningless. 100% meaningless.
Right. It's
one of our theories too is that the economy has a lot to do with people just not having enough ambition. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't believe how many people we've tried to hire that just don't show up to an interview. Yeah. Or don't call back. I mean, if people just had that like the sense of just I'm going to do this. Right. I think the economy would just be completely improved. Totally. But I mean, it's crazy what we see. It's completely nuts.
It has something to do with the 12 plus years of government schooling. I think that drives the ambition out of people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but so the next one is fear of your idea being stolen. I remember going through this myself, so I'd love to hear what you say about this.
Yeah, I mean, I have people that like will contact me and they're like scared of telling me their idea. It's like, first of all, I don't have the time to do what it is, but it's like your idea is not that good anyways, most likely. If it was so great, it probably would have been done already. Right. Or, it's probably too difficult or whatever it is. But you can have a great idea. It doesn't matter. First of all, you should be able to tell everybody what your idea is. If you're scared to tell anybody your idea, it's probably not that good in the first place. Yeah. But the good ideas are worth what it costs you to get to them. Zero. Absolutely zero. It's all about the execution. Because you can have two different people or two different companies. One of them, they both have the same great idea, but one can fail and one can be successful based on their execution. So ideas are completely worthless. They don't mean anything. Until you get sales, it's completely, because you can have like this great app, right? It's this fantastic idea. That's cool. And it costs you $5 million to get it all set up and everything. It's a great idea, but it might not make any money. So fear of an idea being stolen is it's complete nonsense. And, if I have a great idea, I'm willing to tell everybody about it. And I don't care if anybody steals it because I know I'm going to execute it better than them.
Right. And even if they do try to do something, it's like...
I hope you do. And everything that you do that's well, I'm going to duplicate it and I'm going to do it better. Right. So I hope you take my idea because I want to learn from you and I'm going to do it better. Period.
Yeah, I love these people that you meet every once in a while that they're like, I have this great idea, but I don't really want to tell you everything about it, but I'll have you sign this NDA, and then we're it's like, really?
Get out of here, man.
It's like, I'm
wasting my time.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as that NDA comes up, I think you got to run. It's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is also something that is still, like, everybody says this, or almost everybody. It says, you got to work in your passion. And you're saying that's not true.
No, it's completely not true. So Rohan and I were talking about this about a week ago, And what we were really thinking was, don't do what you're passionate about, but learn to be passionate about what you're doing. If you could figure that out, if you could figure out how to be passionate about whatever it is that you're doing, you'll be successful in everything.
Yeah.
So, it's like, for me, it's like, I'm not super passionate about shaving. I like it, I enjoy it, but I'm not super passionate about it.
Yep.
But if I learn to be passionate about my business and what it is that I'm doing right now, then it will be successful, and then I'll be able to focus on my passions.
Right.
Not necessarily having to try to make money from my passions. So, forget trying to do what you're passionate about. Instead, focus on learning to be passionate about what you're doing right now. That's so important, because whatever it is that you're doing, you have to, to have that focus and that drive, you have to be passionate about it, even if you kind of fake it a little bit.
Yeah. Do you have any tips on how to get, because the hard thing is that some people just don't really like the process. Like, they may not be interested in the other parts of it. Like, maybe they are really excited about something like shaving or beard grooming or something, but they could care less about like Twitter and Facebook and all that.
You just got to do it. There's no easy answer. For a lot of things in business, there's no easy answer. You just got to do it.
Just got to do it.
And if you don't know how to do it, you figure it out.
Yeah.
And if you can't figure it out, if you can't Google something, business is probably not for you.
Right.
Because when we go into something, there's a lot of things we don't understand, but we figure it out. It's not because we're some super geniuses. We just take the time to just learn about it online. It's that simple. So if you don't know how to do, if you're not passionate about like social media, just hire somebody that is.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's no easy answer.
So, okay, the next one is start something small to get practice. You say don't do that.
Can you clarify on that one?
Oh, yeah. So he started out with saying you don't get good at running marathons by reading about running marathons. You don't get good at business by reading about business. So I guess what he's saying is that not to do something that's like, okay, I'm going to do this little thing that see if I can make a few dollars. Instead, just go for the big thing, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. So we had this interesting talk this one night where it was kind of like, a lot of people, like when they decide to run a marathon, they just do it and they run it, right? And they finish most of the time. Well, people, when they're starting to do like business, it's like they question if they should go to the finish line. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I got to get all these books on how to run, and then I got to figure out what kind of socks I should wear and what's the best shoes. And it's like, no, all you got to do is just go run. Just go outside, go run.
Right.
It's all you have to do. You don't have to make this super complicated, long process. But yeah, it's like a marathon. You just got to go.
Yeah, that's right. And then fear of failure, I think that stops a lot of people. I know I've been guilty of that. Like,
there's no such thing as failure.
Yeah.
The only way you could fail is by not taking any action. Mm-hmm. That is the only way. If say, I really want to start this business, I have this great idea, I got all this stuff figured out, and you don't do it, you fail automatically. Because like when I look back at what I've done, I could say, okay, well, I guess this is what failure looks like. I, spent money on this thing and some time, and it didn't really produce any money. But I learned so much from that, and I met cool people from that, and I grew from it. Is that really failure? I guess for me, failure would be if I didn't do anything at all.
Right.
That to me is what failure is. So change the definition of failure. It's not making mistakes. It's making inaction. It's doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's my opinion on failure.
Exactly. I totally agree. So the naysayers, like that, I know that's a big one too. Like as soon as you say you're going to do something and you start telling people, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to go, that's never going to work, or you can never do that. And there's all laundry list of reasons why you shouldn't do it. So,
oh yeah. So Rohan, when he made his initial post on his company, Maids in Black, 3 years ago, there's so many people that said, well, this can never scale. You're susceptible to the economy, all these different things. And it's like, here he is with, it's doing like $1.5 million a year, and the naysayers are nowhere to be found. Yeah. Their opinion is worth nothing. It doesn't matter. If it doesn't, if somebody says something to you and it doesn't empower you, then it's completely worthless.
Right.
It's, it's not pushing you forward. There's a point where you should listen to people and take their opinion if it's a valid opinion. But the people that are just going to say all this negative stuff, they're not doing anything anyways.
Yeah.
They probably don't have a business anyways.
That's right.
You know?
So can you talk a little bit about the numbers, like how you guys are doing, how you started, and what's going on now?
Yeah. So when we first purchased the business, in the first 6 months, it did like $3,500 in total sales. Mm-hmm. And we did $3,500 in probably the first 10 or 12 days, something like that. And today we're going to be breaking through $80,000 in total sales. And we'll probably break through 100 in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Nice.
So yeah, the business is on track to do somewhere around $250,000, but right now at current growth rates, but we'll probably do closer to $500,000 or so our first full year.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a ton of work. That's the thing, but we love it. They're like, not working drives us absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And it's great when you're seeing like the improvements and you're seeing like sales come in and all this stuff, and it validates you wanting to work harder.
Right.
And another point I really wanted to talk about was urgency. Mm-hmm. It seems to us like nobody has any urgency. We realize that, look, we're going to die someday, mm-hmm. right? We don't know when that's going to be, but we're going to die. So why would we wait to work on our business or to start a business or to do what can be done today? Why are we going to wait for tomorrow? Like that mm-hmm. is just, for us, it's like completely insane. We have this huge sense of urgency. Like, when you see Rohan work, it's incredible. He gets stuff done. Like, you think something was going to take 2 weeks, it's done tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And he's working all the time because we want to get this business going and successful as quickly as possible. We have no time to waste here. So people, you have to have a sense of urgency. I think that's a very important component of being successful in business, having urgency. Doing it now, like you have to go now, and just that gets things done at such a quicker rate than just taking your time and I'll do this next week or what. No, just do it now. Your day should be filled with important things that you're doing, and having that urgency will drive you in all of these different areas that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, I totally hear you there. The procrastination is your enemy when it comes to this stuff, and it's kind of something you have to practice. I think maybe it comes naturally for some people, maybe it did for you, but I think for a lot of people, it's the natural tendency is to procrastinate. Do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. So fighting that, I think, is important. Like doing little things, like saying, okay, if I get an email, because I'm really bad. My really thing that I'm really bad at is getting back to people on email quickly, because I don't like doing email. Like I really dread it. Like I don't even like looking at my email box. But I open it up in the morning and I see there's 37 emails that maybe whatever, half of them need to be returned right away, and I immediately think, okay, I'll do this afternoon. And it's going to be better this afternoon. Like it's
going to be worse.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be more emails. There'll be more things that I'm working on. There'll be more. So yeah, the attitude of like, just get it done, just do it right away.
There's no easy way out.
Right.
You just got to do it. I mean, there's no one's going to come and like do them for you.
Yeah.
You just like with my emails, like I respond within seconds.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare that somebody emails our company and we take longer than 5 minutes to respond.
That's amazing.
Super, super rare, because I have urgency. Like I want to get stuff done today.
Right.
And the procrastination, when you're working for yourself, you should never procrastinate.
Yeah.
That's like a mindset where feel like you're in school and you got like this project you don't really want to do. You're like, I'm just going to wait until the last possible minute.
Yeah.
But this is your business. I mean, this is your life. Like this is going to change your life. I'm probably a few months from having a really nice salary where I don't really have to do anything.
Yeah.
The business can take care of itself. That's what we're trying to set up.
Right.
So why would I procrastinate that?
Yeah.
Like I want to get that done. If I have to like work through the night, I'll work through the night. I don't care. I don't care what it takes. There's nothing in my way.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things I wanted to ask you about, and we'll wrap it up. We're coming up to, actually, wow, it's already been 52 minutes, but this is really fun. I really enjoy this interview.
Likewise.
Yeah. So, okay, so how do you maintain your energy? You work out every day? Do you, what's your schedule like, or your time, kind of how do you manage your time and everything? So,
yeah, we kind of just really have like really boring lives. We'll wake up at like 8 o'clock. We'll answer emails for 30 minutes. We'll do Insanity. Some like quick workout that's high intensity.
Yeah.
And then we'll head to the office, and then we'll just be at the office working all day, and then 10 o'clock at night we'll come home and go to sleep, and then I'll wake up in the middle of the night, answer emails, do whatever needs to be done. Otherwise, I won't be able to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be waking up early thinking, oh, there's emails I have to answer. I just know that they're going to be in my inbox, right?
Yeah.
So I just like waking up in the middle of the night, doing what needs to be done, and then I can go to sleep with like a clear head.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's just that's the same routine that we have all the time. It doesn't really change. I don't do a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just my business. Like I just learned to love the business.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do anything else. Right now, I really have no interest in anything other than getting the business successful.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about like your social life, dating, stuff like that? Like, are you just kind of putting that on hold, or are you able to squeeze some of that in?
It's kind of on hold.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're kind of looking at like, this is not like my real life. This is just setting up my life.
Yeah.
Right? Like having the complete, because me, I'm a dreamer. So I've thought about how I want my life to look like. Right. And what I have to do to get there is to get this business or a business successful. So, if I want to travel and I want to have complete freedom to do whatever it is I want to do and to not worry about money. So to do those things, I need to focus right now. And my focus is it's a laser beam.
Yeah.
I wouldn't enjoy doing anything else, which kind of sucks. I'm not saying it's a great thing, but yeah, just business, business, business.
That's awesome. I mean, it's super inspiring because I think it's easy to get distracted with all the other things that there are to do out there. And
the thing is, you have to know exactly what you want. Like what I did a while ago when I was younger is like I figured out my ideal lifestyle and I figured out what it would cost me,
mm-hmm.
and I broke it down by month, by week, by day, and I know to live my ideal most insane lifestyle, it's going to cost me exactly $750 a day.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I, for example, and I say, how do I start a business that does that? And when you're creating a business where it's like, for example, every customer brings you $50, right? Then you go, well, I only need 15 customers a day.
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes so much more realistic, and you just work towards that goal of getting 15 customers a day.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. For sure. So then what's next? So you're going to just nose to the grindstone for a while and then get this thing going, and then you said you kind of have some projections, so you know approximately how long it's going to take?
Yeah, I mean, we're probably going to, for another month or two, just grind it out and still work really hard. I'm projecting for 2015 I really want to travel a little bit and just take a little break because, when I do take those breaks, I come back just with like a beast.
Mm-hmm.
I come back I want to work so much harder because I really appreciate what I'm working towards, right? The traveling and all of that. So yeah, I think I do want to start another business or two next year. I don't want to have all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Awesome. So you're going to stick around Florida? You're going to be in California, or you don't know yet?
I don't know. I'm just kind of winging it right now. I mean, the business is in Florida, so I don't know. I kind of just taking it as it goes.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. Well, Kevin, it's been awesome chatting. I loved having you on the show. Thanks for coming on, and good luck with everything that you're doing.
Thanks so much, and thanks a lot for having me on. It's been fun.
Yeah, and absolutely. I forgot to mention your website again. It's wetshaveclub.com. And do you have a personal website or anything else that you wanted to bring up?
I don't at the moment, but I should probably work on something like that. It'd be kind of fun to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I'll link to Wet Shave Club and then some of the stuff that we talked about in that Reddit post and anything else. So, so cool. Well, it's been awesome. And have a great time and good luck with everything.
Likewise. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Freedom Lovin' Podcast. To break free today, head on over to freedomlovin.com and download our free guide. 7 practical tips to living free in an unfree world.